Hello and welcome back to the Entertainment Vortex. We are at Brennan Theaters today watching The Meg. Now, while this is not a genre of movie that I typically enjoy, we went to see this one with an open mind. While I will say I stuck to what I thought was going to happen, I didn't really enjoy it too much. There was more there than I was expecting. So if this is the type of movie that you watch the trailer and you're like, awesome, giant shark, lots of tension, this is probably going to be one you're going to want to watch. The acting is actually not bad. Surprisingly, I expected to go in and just see eye-rolling performances and cheesy lines, and don't get me wrong, there are some pretty cheesy lines. The delivery from the actors actually weren't that bad. Considering what they were in, they weren't taking themselves too seriously, but at the same time, they weren't phoning it in. I feel Jason Statham was a good choice for this. He's kind of a unique action hero, and I think that his style worked really well within this movie.
This movie, I will preface this with, is not aimed at me entirely. This is not my kind of film. I'm not the person who likes to just sit down for completely and totally mindless derivative action. Not really my cup of tea. However, I know that there is an audience for this type of film, and there are a lot of positives that those audiences will really enjoy. The dialogue was actually pretty well done for it being purposefully bad dialogue. That's kind of a weird statement. It is definitely something where they know that they're going to get you to groan at some of the things that they say, but for the most part, their intention is to kind of make you laugh along with them. According to the audience that we sat with, which was a completely packed house, seemed to really enjoy that type of thing. It knows its audience for sure. The people who typically go to see this kind of movie are just looking to kind of sit down, turn off the brain, and enjoy something fun. For the most part, it seemed like a lot of people were having that type of fun. I give a lot of credit of that to the dialogue specifically. Jason Statham has a lot of really, Jason Statham-y type lines, and those tended to hit more than they missed, which is a good thing in this kind of a film. If you're looking for a charismatic lead who provides comedic relief, but also provides you with those BA lines, he's definitely your character.
The cast of characters they had were very unique. You had a couple that were kind of cliche, the nerdy guy on the crew and the really stern person in charge and things like that, but yet you also had unique characters. Like, one of the characters had a daughter. The daughter was actually hilarious. Great one-liners, good charisma. Those surprise characters added quite a bit to the story, in my opinion.
Some of the other actors, I'm not sure of the names, put in pretty solid performances. Like I said, the banter back and forth between the cast, which is actually a relatively small cast for this type of a thing, worked really well. Like I said, they've got a lot of tension, a lot of things going back and forth. That was one of the few things about this movie that I appreciated personally. The visual effects in this movie are excellent. You can see where the budget went with this. 20% Jason Statham, the rest of it's visual effects. And they did an excellent job. Everything looks believable and real, save for maybe some of the actual action sequences. There are a couple of things that they wouldn't have happened that way scientifically, but as far as like the different ships and watercrafts that they created and all the different like creatures and everything, it all looked relatively real and believable. It didn't have that like sci-fi channel kind of B-movie schlock that you're used to with this type of a film, which is definitely something that I appreciate. I do enjoy good visual effects, and I really, really like when a movie is willing to throw something that is a little bit different than normal for its genre at you. I can't tell you necessarily how much value that adds to a movie like that for me personally, but I know that there are a lot of people who see a movie like Sharknado and think, oh, this movie would be so much better if the visual effects were better. This did not have that problem.
The second thing this movie did extremely well was the special effects. The shark, obviously, if you can't sell the shark, it's not going to work, because the whole movie's about a giant shark. And I think they did an excellent job selling the shark. It looked real. There are a lot of action scenes, a lot of tense action scenes, and at no point did I find myself going, that looked fake, or that was unrealistic, or anything like that. The whole thing's unrealistic, but I think you know what I mean. The shark looked like it fit within what was happening, and that was pretty impressive. The set pieces were amazing. The vehicles they used, the boats they used, the little submarine glider things, all really neat. I was impressed with all of the tech they had and how they kind of presented this world they were in. The movie doesn't take a whole lot of time to explain itself. You start the movie in this like underwater lab, but you get very, very little explanation of what the lab is there for. It's kind of like they go X, Y, Z, okay, that's out of the way, let's just move to the shark. And you know what? I think that's the best way to do it. They give you the story and then they just kind of forget about that portion of it and just go for the action and go for the tension. This movie is exactly what it is advertised to be. If you watched the trailer and smiled, this movie is totally made for you. because it is probably the most honest trailer I've seen in a very, very long time. A lot of the time you watch a trailer and you're like, did I see every joke that's in the movie? Are they trying to make it seem like a comedy when it's really a drama? Are they trying to make it seem funnier than it really is? And you start to question trailers after a while. But with this movie, it was 100% honest. So, what you see is what you get. If you watch that trailer and it got you excited, I highly suggest watching this movie because it is exactly what this is.
I mentioned a couple of things in the very beginning about, my personal opinions as far as this film is concerned. One of the things that I personally picked up on, and it's one of the things that's going to bring the score down for me, probably by a fairly considerable margin, is that it's incredibly derivative and incredibly predictable.
I think this was a solid outing for what it's supposed to be. With that being said, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. If you saw the trailer and this is something you were interested in seeing, I highly suggest it. I think you're going to have a good time. If you saw the trailer and you rolled your eyes, like I did the first time I saw the trailer, and the next 50 times I saw the trailer, it's probably not for you. It's, like I said, an extremely honest trailer. You should know at the end of that trailer whether you should watch this or not. And I'm here to confirm if the answer to that question was yes, you definitely want to go watch it.
So I'm in a similar boat as far as a score is concerned. It's not something where you can give it, the same scale that you would give an, Academy Award-winning performance or something that you would see go up for any kind of award in general. It just isn't that type of film. The reason why I'm going to give it the score I'm going to give it is just because it's not new. Nothing is new about this movie at all. They took bits and pieces from other movies and slapped Giant Shark on it and called it good and put Jason Statham in the driver's seat. And that's fine if that's what you're after. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to enjoy that type of film, and I suggest to go see it if that's how you're feeling about the trailer and how things kind of pan out. And if you're a big Jason Statham fan, those would probably be the triangle of area that I would say is definitely go see this in theaters, because in theaters is where this is meant to be seen. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. It's definitely not the worst thing I've seen in a while. There have definitely been things that went out with anticipations to make a certain type of film and failed completely. This movie definitely did not do that. It just made a movie that is the same as every other movie in its genre, which is disappointing.
If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We give you multiple videos every single week. And we have t-shirts available if you're interested in those as well. Those are available down in the description below. We hope you'll follow us into the Vortex. We'll see you next time.